Hi friends, this is Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room. I'm grateful to have you here, especially at the time of this posted video. It is Thanksgiving, so I just want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and to everyone watching today and every day. I just really appreciate you and this community. Today's video, I'm going to be using some of my November 2023 Spellbinders Club kits. I am on the influencer team for the Better Press and Clear Stamp and Die clubs, but I am a loyal subscriber to the Glimmer kit and Embossing Folders of the month. So I'm going to combine some of these kits together to create a card today. I'm going to be using the Clear Stamp and Die of the Month, Embossing Folder, the 2D version, and the Glimmer Hot Foil kit. The Glimmer Hot Foil kit has these wonderful sentiments that really can be used for any occasion, and I'm going to hot foil all of them and use that coordinating banner die to cut out my sentiments and save them for future cards. The foil that I received with my Glimmer kit is the matte gold. I know it depends on availability, so you may get matte gold with yours or you may get another foil roll, but I'm excited to have another roll of the matte gold. The one I have is in a bundle with other matte metallic, so having more of this is great. I went ahead and opened up my roll, and I'm using my little trimmer kit here to cut off the little clear sticker that they use to keep the roll together. And I'm going to use 2 pieces today of foil. You only see me cut one, but I'm going to hot foil, like I said, both of those little sentiment plates and use the banner coordinating die to cut them out. I'm also going to grab my solid rectangle Glimmer hot foil plate, and I'm going to use the, I guess you could say, negative space of my hot foil roll pieces that I use to hot foil the sentiments with to also create some solid gold banners with the cardstock coming through where the letters are. So I am using these pieces to their fullest capacity. So here you can see I hot foiled the first plate, and I have all those pretty sentiments on some pink cardstock, and I'm going to save that extra piece of foil. Here is the second plate. And here you can see I've used it with the solid, and I tried to makeshift my own like piece of cardstock knowing that I was going to die cut it, and it just didn't turn out great. But there's a few banners that I can salvage from that. And then the other one turned out wonderful because I didn't try to Frankenstein my paper together. So here is the coordinating die in action. I'm going to use my Spellbinders tape to help keep this die in place. And I'm doing everything with my Spellbinders Platinum 6. This is in partnership with scrapbook.com, so it's that really cool matte black color. And of course my Magic Mat with my system. So I'm going to go ahead and run my first set of sentiments through my machine. I also used it for my Glimmer Hot Foil as you saw earlier, and I'm going to use my machine again for embossing. So here is the die cutting of those banners, and I'm just going to set them in my little tray, and I will go ahead and die cut the rest of them. And here you can see how those solid gold banners look with the pink coming through rather than the sentiment being hot foiled. So I'll go ahead and put my club Glimmer Hot Foil plates away. I love that there's like a little outline so I can make sure I have everything lined up and I'm not missing anything. And let's move on to embossing. So I'm opening up the 2D embossing folder of the month, and I have this teal kind of greenish colored piece of cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and trim this down to be 4 by 5 1/4, so slightly smaller than A2 because I want to have a layer of gold cardstock behind it, so I don't want to do a full A2 piece of paper. I'm going to spray one side of my cardstock with a little bit of water, and that just helps make the paper a little more pliable as I run it through my die cut machine. And with the embossing folder, and it just avoids any type of ripping or tearing that may happen with an embossing folder, especially 3D. I know this is 2D, but the 3D ones definitely want to add some water, or I've seen some other crafters use a baby wipe. Just want to make sure there's some moisture on that cardstock. Here you can see that beautiful floral design. I know this is a 2D embossing folder, but it looks very 3D and it's very pretty. I'm going to decide on my sentiment. I know I want it to be a birthday card, so I am going to grab my happy birthday sentiment that was hot foiled on the pink cardstock with the letters that are foiled. Later on, I will grab its counterpart, the gold banner, but I will settle on using all pink. I'm trimming down a piece of that same pink cardstock so I can stamp my sentiment from the clear stamp from November 2023. I just trimmed it down so it would fit inside my little mini Misty, and I'm grabbing the sentiment stamps for and you. That's going to go really well, I think, with my happy birthday hot foiled sentiment. I'm going to emboss it, so I'm going to add some anti-static powder first to my pink cardstock, and I'm grabbing in a clear embossing ink and inking up my sentiment. I'll use a little tool here to help apply pressure, and I did stamp it twice to make sure I have full coverage of my stamp with that embossing ink. I'm going to grab a gold embossing powder. This is Gold Rush from Ink on 3, but any detail gold embossing powder will do. I'm just trying my best to match up the gold in my embossing powder to the gold of my hot foil. So I went ahead and used my heat gun to melt that down, and once it cools, I have a little Swiffer cloth that I just keep at my desk, and I'll go ahead and do my best to pick up all the excess anti-static powder with this Swiffer cloth. I think it's time for a new one though, because it's not picking up like it used to. I need to go and grab more from my cleaning stash. I am going to grab the coordinating dies for the clear stamp and die of the month, and I will use my tape to hold those dies in place while I run it through my die cut machine again. This time I did it off to the side, and I have my For You sentiment. So here I am trying to decide what kind of banner I want, and I know that I'm going to pop them up, but I wanted to start getting my card ready to go. So I'm going to trim down some gold mirror cardstock from my stash to A2 in size. So 5.5 by 4.25, and there you can see there's this nice gold border around my embossed background. But as I was looking at it on the gold, I knew it needed a little bit more, something else to just kind of add some fun color and texture. So I'm grabbing a distress ink in Peacock Feathers, and I have a blending brush. This one is from Trinity Stamps, and I'm just adding some of that ink on all 4 sides of my paper, trying to create a vignette look. And I wanted to add some watercolor splatters, and I just got this new Opal color pigment set, and I'm using the red. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of tell there's like a rainbow of color in there. And I splatter that onto my background, and I'm also going to grab Rosy Cheeks Simon Hurley Lunar Paste, and I'm using a paintbrush to paint on the lunar paste on all of the small flowers that are embossed in my background, and I'm also going to use it to add to the center of all my large flowers in my background. Now, because I'm applying such a thin layer of the lunar paste, it actually dries very quickly. So I went ahead and put my lunar paste away, cleaned up my glass mat, but I'm ready to keep on going. I don't have to wait too long for my background to dry. I'm using my super sticky adhesive from Scotch to attach my embossed background to my gold paper. And now I can finally move on to the sentiment. So I have my For You, and I do decide to go with the pink. I was looking at it, and I just think it pops so much more off the card compared to the gold. I think because of that gold cardstock that I have in the background. So definitely going with pink. But I wanted to add a little bit more thickness to my For You. I wanted my sentiment to pop off the page, but I didn't want to have to line up foam adhesive behind those dainty little die cuts. So I'm grabbing some double-sided adhesive sheets. These are really old. I've had them forever from Fun Stamper's Journey, which is now just completely Spellbinders. So trying to use up my stash and what I have, I'm using these double-sided adhesive sheets to put on my pink cardstock, and I put it on the front of my cardstock, so I die cut through the adhesive and then through the cardstock. Because I already have my sentiment stamped and die cut, I need to glue behind my sentiment. So I needed my adhesive on top of these new pieces so I could line them up behind my embossed sentiment. And I ran them through twice. So I put 2 layers of cardstock with adhesive behind my embossed sentiment. And then for my banner, I'll go ahead and add some foam adhesive because that's pretty easy. It's just going to be a nice straight line of foam adhesive. So I'm using my scrapbook.com 1/8 strips, and I'm going to go ahead and put that behind my banner. I'm going to glue or adhere down my banner before I glue down my For You sentiment, so I have an idea of making sure my sentiment is straight and centered as best as I can get it. I'm using my grid here on my glass board to make sure I have my banner straight to the best of my ability. Sometimes it doesn't come out straight and centered, but you know what? It's handmade and it's as good as it's going to get. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive to add my For You. So I'm just using one with a fine point tip so I can get behind that scripty font. And then I will use the banner now to help me get the For applied down to the card on the left, and then I will repeat that same process for the U, again using the banner to help me get my top of my sentiment centered. It was a little off-centered, so I had to scooch my U over a bit. And then I do have some texture on my background as it is embossed, so just applying pressure to make sure my sentiment is really adhered down. That will finish off most of the cards. Let's go ahead and get the card base. This is a top folding A2 card, so when scored and folded, it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm using that same adhesive to make sure it is nice and attached to my card base. And then I decided to add a little bit more gold. I have to grab my pops of color. I love them from scrapbook.com. And this time I'm using champagne glitter. And I think I put about 7 pops around my card, so just putting them in different spots where I think they will look nice. And then I like to tap on the inside of my card to help dome out my little pops of color. I want them to look more like enamel dots than a little Hershey kiss. So after I do that, that will finish off the card. I hope you enjoyed my take on using these different Spellbinders club products together. I will have linked down below a link to all the clubs so you can create your own subscription, or maybe you just want 1 or 2 of the ones I use today. But thank you again for being here, and happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and remember how grateful I am for you to be here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!